Welcome to the channel. Last night, episode 4 of Skeleton Crew dropped, so this is a quick video review of the episode. Um, as a bit of a recap, the last thing that happened in episode 3 was they went to a planet to talk to somebody who supposedly um, knew a lot about star charts and routes, etc. They got into a bit of a tussle with that individual, but they did manage to grab a card which we believe has the coordinates for Adium, which is the planet the kids are coming from, and who, not Jedi, is really keen to find this planet. So this episode starts. Their spacecraft comes out of hyperspace above a planet. You can kind of see the remnants of that cloud that we saw from the original planet. So at this point, we don't know if this is their planet and something's happened or what. But they continue towards the planet, and there's a number of orbital stations there. Some of them that look like they've taken some damage. So then we're not sure if they're going to be able to make it to the planet, and they do, with nothing else occurring. So they're dropping lower, and they do see through breaks in the cloud something that looks like their planet, the homes, etc., etc. But anyways, they are going down, and suddenly the ship is taken over by autopilot, which may put them in peril, but doesn't, because the robot simply says, "I'll take over," and land it. So they do. And so my episode title is Much Ado About Nothing, and that basically sums up this episode. But we'll continue. They land, and the kids exit to the planet. There's lots of features that would suggest that this is at Adium, but it's in severe decline. Lots of overgrown weeds and derelict um, architecture. So they come out trying to figure out what's going on, and of course, the next step is that the children will go explore the planet and leave the one adult and the sort of semi battle robot behind, because that makes absolute no sense whatsoever. But, anyways, off they go, and they are trucking across, and they find, um, again, more and more stuff that would indicate that this is their planet, but they understand that probably it's not, because the weeds, they go into one house that has a tree in its atrium, and the tree is almost breaking through the roof. So they kind of obviously state, well, whatever happened here happened a long time ago. So again, the kids continue to explore. Could be a very dangerous situation, but isn't. They see a statue with its head off, and they run towards it. So obviously there's a difference between their planet and this planet. And suddenly blaster bolt hits the statue. So are they under attack? Are they in danger? Nope, not really. They just hide. But when they hide, they are, because we saw one individual hiding behind them, they are captured, if you want to call, by a couple of very short warriors. The one is wearing a hat which looks suspiciously like the helmet that the juvenile Mandalorians use in season 3 of that show. So they're reusing old props. But they get told that they need to hide because by one of the individuals, who's a young woman who has a French accent for some strange reason. So they hide because, oh God, there's a patrol coming, and it's actually got one of those or something similar to one of the hover tanks that you saw in the actual Star Wars movies. And there's a bunch of troops, and they're possibly in peril. They run and hide, and nothing happens. So after jumping around a bit, the young woman says that they will, or she will take him someplace safe. So off they go to a dive. But it turns out that the guy in charge is her father. So because this show is targeted at kids, they say that kids are treated the same as adults and yada yada yada, and they're respected warriors because the one mouthy kid says that she's captain. So they assume that that is military rank of some sort. But anyways, that's them there, and he's going to train them to fight and all this stuff because they must be wonderful troops. Back on the ship, Not a Jedi is talking to the robot who says the planet is familiar, but when asked about Atium, he can't remember anything about it. So Not a Jedi is trying to coax out of him some information, and as they leave the ship, they run into another group of individuals wearing helmets that are eerily similar to the ones that were in the Solo movie when he was part of the Imperial forces or the Empire forces. Sorry. So back to the kids in the group that they're with, and the kids being kids are blasting away at stuff because they're supposed to be training, and Elephant Boy is whining about peace and he shouldn't be fighting, and I guess kind of making no sense whatsoever about it. But why didn't they just say they're sorry? Because apparently the whole skirmish is due to the fact that this other group stole some of the this group's animals, and apparently they're key to their survival, although they don't actually say why. Um, could be skins, but you don't see anybody walking around with skins. I guess maybe it must be meat or whatever, but they go to the roof of the building because they've been taken to actually a building that would have been their school on their homeworld, and there's lots of dialogue with no real meaning, and that's kind of it. Other than the girl basically turns a knob in the ground, and up comes a big laser cannon. But Elephant Boy keeps whining away about peace and doesn't want to get in a fight and tells a really stupid story about him and his brother fighting. But back to the other group, of course, they are just being useless. And the curly head kid that we meet at the very start of the show, he just thinks it's wonderful. He can shoot this and that. But for all this training, all of 5 minutes, they are told that they're going to lead the next patrol out against the enemy to get their animals back, because that makes perfect sense in the story, at least. They did ask, the kids did ask about Adim, and nobody knows anything about it, but they do have some sort of central repository or area that's important, but it's too dangerous for the kids to go and too far away. So they're not going to go until they lead the rest of the troops, all probably somewhat battle hardened, into battle. So they give them a bunch of pointed sticks and send them at gunpoint to lead the attack. So as they go, Blue Elephant Boy is pretty much pissing his pants. He's so scared. But the daughter of the leadership was the first character they met. Says he'll go with him because she's becoming friends with Elephant Boy. So off they go on patrol, but they're at the front, and they're potentially it's a serious situation. Something's coming out of the mist, and it's basically Not a Jedi, who has settled the whole conflict by buying the animals off the group that he ran into for a few Imperial credits, and everything's over. So all this tension and training and leading into battle, and for a couple of credits, it's done. And the pirate robot's with him, so he hands over the animals and says he'll take the kids and go. And at this point, the group leader or faction leader says he'll or it's okay if his daughter takes them to this repository of information because they've proved themselves in battle. So yeah, after all this tension, actually nothing happens. So they head off to this special place, which was on a long and dangerous journey, and it's like a 5-minute walk, and nothing happens. So they get there and manage to turn on the elevator. The girl says she can't go any further because Elephant Boy says, "Oh, come with us." But no, she has to go back. Maybe someday things will be great. But they get into the building, and conveniently, the elevator in this decrepit building works and takes them up to the top, where they find a bunch of posts and all with the names of all these 5 planets or 6 planets, one being their planet at Atrium, um, is or it has a name pillar with a name and star coordinates on each. So they find all the other ones, and when it comes to their home planet, the coordinates have been wiped out. And when they ask who did it, the robot helpfully chirps in that he did it. So he said when he was here last, and they're saying you were here last. And when they ask him about their home world, he says he doesn't know nothing about it. So they get pissed off and tell him to shut up because he keeps saying that. But the rebel girl, she decides that she's got the solution, and she just that he's hiding it because he was told to hide it. Of course, that works with droids. So after having a bit of a cry about having to lead these idiots, she suddenly leads them and goes to the robot and tells it to remember everything, which it suddenly does. And you get more of a story about why, uh, what happened, but the pirate robot says that his boss told him to forget everything, destroy the coordinates, and if anybody shows up interested in the coordinates, they're supposed to, or he's supposed to tear them limb from limb. So we suddenly have a very tense scene where the robot is coming after the children, and the Elephant Boy hits him in the head with a rock. So I guess he's a big battle robot that can get annoyed by rocks. He turns around and heads towards Elephant Boy. Again, tension, danger, but not a Jedi simply shuts the robot off with a conveniently placed on-off switch. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. Elephant Boy faints, and we're done. So, yeah, a lot is going on in this episode, but nothing really happens. So, there's no danger when they arrive at the planet from orbital platforms. There's no danger when they go out onto the planet and it's all decrepit. They meet a couple of young kids from one faction, and there's no danger and nothing happens there. Then they hide from a patrol, and the patrol just goes by, so nothing happens there. They get taken back to the 2 kids' tribe or clan or whatever, and they're welcomed in as these wonderful warriors. And then they get trained for battle and are told they're going to lead everybody into battle. So these kids with actually no combat experience and about 5 minutes training with weapons that look like they came out of a Cracker Jack box is supposed to lead them. So they go and lead them on a very dangerous patrol where they're going to go up against the other faction, and nothing happens. So they're allowed to go to this central area where they might be able to find out more about their planet, which is supposed to be on a very dangerous um, path, and nothing happens other than they get there. Um, so yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff that potentially could uh, happen, but doesn't. So yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, I'm gonna say, for all this workup about what is going on and stuff like that, and nothing actually happens. So yeah, it's I mean the episode's not bad, but they do a lot and don't actually accomplish anything, don't actually face any danger. It, they don't actually learn much other than there's another planet that looks remarkably like their planet, but they get no closer to finding out anything or doing anything. So that's it for this review. It's an okay episode, but it's just kind of a waste because nothing really goes on. Okay.